Crack's not really my thing, but if it was, it would be fine if I was on that side.
Yeah, so at his CPAC last month, well, Trump's son, essentially now he is going out of his way to say that he's not on cocaine because he had to allude during his CPAC speech that he was not a drug user. So of course, making that allusion quite naturally essentially puts us in a position where it is fueling speculation that he in fact may be abusing drugs. And a person who didn't like that speculation was one Alex Jones. Of course, as we know, Alex Jones isn't much for speculation, right? So the InfoWars conspiracy theorist jumped to Don Jr.'s defense. Watch this.
Don Jr. is a cokehead because he has high energy, and they always say that about me. You got the wrong guy. I don't need stimulants. Anything alcohol I've done over the years off and on because it lowers me down. See, the left doesn't have energy, folks. They don't get like Don Jr. giving a powerful speech, and I mean, he's really becoming a good orator. One of the best. I mean, just a couple years ago, he was okay. Now I'm like, damn, that's a powerful speech. That's better than Joel Osteen or somebody or Martin Luther King. And I'm not kissing his ass. I mean, he's just come a long way. And they go, oh, he's on cocaine. That's cocaine. No, that's you people that need cocaine to get up off your ass.
Yeah, I could really see that analogy there being completely and totally accurate. Don Jr. and MLK. Jank?
I mean, just when you thought Alex Jones couldn't say anything crazier. Okay. So first of all, when you walk into a room and go, I'm not on crack, it does lead to questions. I'm not sure that anybody had asked. And then secondarily, Alex Jones sees that and goes, did you see that speech about how he wasn't on crack? Really powerful orator. Like, I mean, the number of speeches that Nelson Mandela and Mahatma Gandhi made about not being on crack. I mean, if I had $1 for each one of those speeches, I'd have $0. And I like how he says nobody on the left has high energy. Alex, I'm pretty sure you met me. So you might want to reconsider that. And it ain't crack or cocaine. It's toostrongcoffee.com/TYT.
Nice.
I feel like the comparison between Joel Osteen and MLK is like offensive enough without bringing Don Jr. into it. But like it's St. Patrick's Day weekend in Chicago, right? So Don Jr. saying, I'm not, or Alex Jones saying, Don Jr.'s not on coke, he's just high energy. You know, that's gonna be like 50 white women in Wrigleyville this weekend talking to police officers. Officer, I'm not on coke, I'm just high energy. I'm always strung out like this. But I have often wondered what the cocaine budget for CPAC is. So if anyone who has any connections with that would like to let me know, I'm very interested in learning. Also, we have, I mean, it's not just Don Jr., right? We all remember the best is yet to come, and it's just most of them speaking at these events just look so strung out, so coked out on stage. It's like shocking.
Guys,
it's so, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just it's funny how naive I am, right? So until people started saying it, I don't know, they all look crazy to me. So what's crazy on coke versus crazy not on coke? I can't really tell.
No, I was the same way when people would say, oh, that's coke. I was like, oh, okay, good to know. That's strange. But at the same time, it's like, oh, that's also par for course. I do think Alex Jones is just really taking some liberties here, making these analogies, because it's like MLK was an orator. Oration is an art form. There is something very skillful about it. There is something also very moving about it. There is nothing moving about what Don Jr. says unless it's just moving you in a certain way because you yourself are hyped up on some kind of histamine or amphetamine in some form. And it mesmerizes me, the lies that the right is willing to tell to bolster up their people. And it's gaslighting. It's absolutely it's not truthful, full of lies, and it really waters down the accomplishments of people of the past or even people of the present because they are not on the same level.
Yeah, I do have to admit though, there is one comparison that makes sense. I was consistently surprised in both MLK and Don Jr. speeches. Now, mind you, for different reasons. So when MLK would speak, and I heard a lot of his speeches, when I was listening to it, there would almost always be a moment or several moments, depending on the length of the speech, where I'd be like, wow, I didn't think about it that way, right? So I'll give you a mediocre example. He made a point in one of the speeches that the civil rights movement was doing civil disobedience. But remember, he said, even though they're putting us in jail, we didn't actually break the law. We are following federal law. It's actually local law enforcement that's breaking the law. And so you should be mindful of that perception. And I was like, that's such a great point, and one that was almost never made, at least as I was learning that history. And with Don Jr., when he says that the ghost of Hugo Chavez might have stolen the 2020 election, I didn't see that one coming either. That also took me by surprise.
Adrian, you said, people wouldn't be moved by Don Jr. speaking, and I have to, respectfully disagree, because whenever I hear him speaking, it moves me. It makes me move as far the hell away from where he's speaking as I possibly can. Rip my headphones off, throw them across the room, moves me to get the hell away from him. And it's just like shocking because yeah, he might be coked out and have high energy because of that, but he's not articulate. He is not a good public speaker at all. I mean, I guess if like the Trump kids, maybe he's the least, embarrassing public speaker, but that's a very low bar to meet. Like he misspeaks constantly, stumbles over his words. Everything that comes out of his mouth is incorrect, but just there's nothing about him that's good, let alone something that you should be praising.
Yeah, one last thing about this for me. They live in such a different world that I can't relate to them. I don't know if they're lying on purpose or if they actually genuinely see it that way, right? So Bernie Sanders is a good enough speaker and super passionate, very honest, authentic. There are real things you can say about Bernie. But if we were on the right wing, I guess we'd be like, he reminds me of George Clooney a lot. You're like, but why? No. We don't have to weirdly, gratuitously lie about people on our side. And if we did, everybody would think we're nuts. It doesn't matter how progressive you are. You'd be like, if I'm having a conversation, what do you think, Bernie, Brad Pitt or George Clooney? People are like, you're weird, dude. Right? Why don't we concentrate on $15 minimum wage and his great proposals? Whereas they can't help themselves. They see Don Jr. being an idiot and they go, what do you think? Joel Osteen, by the way, great point, Ravana. It's totally an insult to put MLK in with a con man like Joel Osteen to begin with. But okay, fine, if you respect Joel Osteen or Martin Luther King. They're weirdos. Every part of the right wing is weird.
I actually have a very interesting soapbox because I used to teach media training and how to persuade ethos, pathos, logos. And so when it comes to people like MLK, they are orators, and there's just so much power in it. But then when it comes to people like Joel Osteen, he is actually extremely skilled too. And it's the interesting way in which he delivers things that make him a very powerful and memorable televangelist. In what way? And it's interesting because I also think of that in the context of Tucker Carlson. Because if you notice, they're always following a formula. There's a way in which they speak. There's a pace at which they speak. The word selection, the choices, how they package their stories, and then how they engage in repetition. It is an art form. It is definitely different than MLK, because that's oration. But it is something that essentially ends up in a subtle form of, let's say, indoctrination. And it is very talented. And I can tell you that it's something that Don Jr. does not have and is not exercising.
Yeah, no, you're right. If he said, "Hey, Tucker's really good at convincing people through his monologues on his show," I'd say, "Yeah, that's fair, right?" I don't agree with him, and I could break down his logical fallacies, but he has a way of framing things in a way that is absolutely mesmerizing to his audience. He'll say like, well, now look, all elephants are pink, but we liberals say they aren't. I don't know why they say that. I mean, we all agree to that, right? And everybody's like, oh yeah, the elephants are pink. Wait, what? Right? Except they don't say, wait, what? I mean, he'll do things like that, and we'll point it out on TYT, we'll break down the tape, etc. So if you said, look, he's not correct, but he's an interesting speaker that does a good job of convincing at least his audience, that'd be fair about Tucker. Why don't you just stick with that? Why do you have to go to Don Jr., who's obviously a fool and is lucky to speak in complete sentences on the rare occasion that he does?
It's beyond me, but maybe somebody needs to test Alex Jones for drugs. That's all I gotta say.
Well, that's again, that's another one where it's like, does he have to be on drugs? What difference would it make?
Could make it better, honestly.
Yeah, maybe it'll mellow him out and have him actually connect two brain cells for the first time and go, oh wait, I don't know why why the frogs got gay, and maybe they're not gay, and maybe it doesn't matter if they're gay, and no. So I mean, it can't. To Ravana's point, it can't get any worse.
It's not human intelligence.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.